Hi guys, and welcome to what is a brand new series here on the channel. It is going to be the Pokemon VGC 2019 How to Play Guide series. We've finished the Sun series, we're moving into the Moon series, and this is what we're going to be concentrating on going into these next bunch of guides that I'm going to turn out over the next few weeks. So one of the first things that I wanted to do was looking back at the Sun series. One of the most popular Pokemon used throughout that circuit was Kyogre, so that's the Pokemon we're going to approach today. I really hope you enjoy this guide series. I've tried to make it accessible for all types of players, so if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate and an advanced player, this guide can be relevant to you at some point throughout. So hopefully it hits all those bases. It's something that is beneficial for you, something that you guys enjoy, and we go through it and look at the changes from the Sun series to the Moon series. So I did a bunch of guides in the Sun series. If you want to check them out, they're up somewhere up here, probably up there. I'll drop that in that card there for you guys at home, and you can go back and check those out. But because of the changes going into the Moon series, we've got Z moves, makes a big difference to the format. So these are the things we're going to be concentrating on. I wanted to look at one of the most popular Pokemon in the Sun series going into the Moon series, and that is Kyogre. So hopefully you guys enjoy this guide. Before we get into it though, if you enjoy this sort of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you stay up to date with all of the content that we've got coming out, especially VGC stuff if that's what you're interested in. And without further ado, we'll get into it. So here we go guys, we are going to kick off with Kyogre. We've got the overlay screen here, the nice thumbnail from the channel. Hope you guys like this as well. These are going to be kind of common, and we're just going to interchange as we go through. So the guides are going to drop on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday as we go through this first bit of the Moon series. So to kick us off today, we're going to take a look at an overview for Kyogre. It is a water type. It's got the Drizzle ability. For those of you out there that do not know, I'll just quickly cover this. So Drizzle activates rain to the field, brings rain to the field for 5 turns. It boosts water type attacks, that activates some abilities like Swift Swim, and that doubles a Pokemon's speed when the rain is active on the field. Now you can nullify the rain by switching in an opposing weather like sun, hail, sand, or you can have a Pokemon with something like Airlock, its ability, or Cloud 9. So you've got Airlock as an ability, you've got something like Rayquaza, you've got Cloud 9 on Altaria, Golduck and Drampa. So there are options there to disrupt this weather, take away those big boosts that you're getting to those water type attacks, take away those abilities that thrive off this rain environment and really make it difficult for your opponents to gain any momentum in the battle. We're going to see common attacks on Kyogre. Water Spout is going to be a huge one. Water Spout is base damage off total HP number of Kyogre. When it's got full HP, its base power is 150. It's a spread type attack, so it's hitting both opposing Pokemon on the opposite side of the field. You've got the same with Origin Pulse, but it isn't based off that HP number. It's a standard set damage output. If you don't like the accuracy with that because it is a little bit shaky, you can always opt to go for something like Scald. 100% accurate and going to do the same damage output, but it is a single target attack rather than a double target attack like Origin Pulse. Going to see other options on Kyogre like Thunder and Ice Beam. Ice Beam for coverage, mainly for hitting those grass types that threaten it so heavily, and Thunder, it just gives Kyogre an option to hit opposing water type for really good damage. Going to see base stat overview. Got 100 base stat HP, 100 attack, 90 defense, 150 special attack, huge, 140 special defense, again a really big strong special defense, and 90 speed, which is quite standard for your restricted Pokemon in these sort of formats. You can look at the type, strengths and weaknesses table here. Its weaknesses are grass and electric. Being a water type, it's not got too many weaknesses, giving it quite a good utility. It's not immune to anything, but it does have nice resists in steel, fire, water and ice, and then hit normally by everything else. So that gives us a nice overview there of Kyogre to start with. So we're going to jump into some sets now and have a look at the first set. And being the Moon series, the first set, the most appropriate set going into this guide, is obviously going to be the item with the Waterium Z, the Z crystal on Kyogre, giving it that option to throw out a Hydro Vortex at any time at once. You're not only taking advantage of the Z move, you're taking advantage of the weather control that you have with its ability and that big huge 150 special attack as well coming off that. So I've not went for anything flashy here, just sticking with that, something simple for you guys that are beginners to start off with. A 4 HP, 252 special attack, 252 speed, just maximizing that speed stat, maximizing that special attack stat to make sure you can just use it quite offensively and get the most out of it. So there's some attacking calculation here, examples for you here, and some defensive calculations here. So you can see a 252 modest Kyogre using that Hydro Vortex coming off the water spout. It's 200 base power, which is crazy, against a 252 HP, no special defense. Groudon in the sun is still a guaranteed knockout. And the beauty about the Hydro Vortex coming off the water spout for Kyogre is it doesn't matter what HP number you are at with Kyogre, it will always be, whether you're on full HP or 1 HP, it will always be that 200 base power damage coming off that Hydro Vortex as long as you're using it from water spout. And some defensive calculations just showing even without any investment that Kyogre can still take attacks. It's obviously going off its weaker defensive side, but a 252 Adamant Groudon from a Life Orb boosted Precipice Blades is only 76 to 89% damage, so guaranteed a 2-hit KO. They're able to take that, and that's just an example for you. As you can see in the top right hand corner here, you've got some common partners and common checks to this Pokemon. So common partners that I would probably look at putting with this particular Kyogre are things like Ludicolo, can take advantage of that rain. It's got Fake Out support as well, does really well against opposing Kyogres, giving you that grass type that you want, and it just gives you a nice pivot, especially in the mirror, being able to have that option to deal with opposing Kyogres and opposing water type attackers that may be otherwise quite problematic for you. Another good partner that we saw used to so much success in the Sun series is Tornadus. It gives Kyogre an option to protect while you set the Tailwind up. You can taunt opposing threats to stop them setting speed control up. You've got that flying type stab to hit the grass types that are threatening Kyogre. Lots of really good utility with Tornadus there, especially with that Prankster ability, allowing that quick speed control setup to just make Kyogre an absolutely beast of a Pokemon. There's also Rain Dance I'm going to throw in and just mention there as well, because if your opponent has an opposing weather and wants to try and disrupt that, they can switch the Groudon in turn 1 and you can just Rain Dance, get the rain up before you do anything, and then throw out a big water spout, Hydro Vortex, Origin Pulse, whatever you want. And then the last one I'm going to mention is a notable mention is Clefairy. I think it works perfectly with this type of Kyogre. It has Follow Me, it has Icy Wind, it has Helping Hand as well, and Helping Hand, Mortarium, Hydro Vortex is going to be so strong. I think against a 252 sassy Amoonguss, we know how bulky Amoonguss is, and it resisted. The Helping Hand Hydro Vortex from a Kyogre in the rain has a 25% chance to knock out that same Amoonguss. So that, I mean, that is just ridiculous in itself. Some common checks to Kyogre are always going to be those grass types. You've got Ferrothorn, Kartana, going to be able to take those big water type attacks comfortably. Kartana commonly carries Focus Sash, so that's something to be able to take and then return with the Leaf Blade, do some big damage if not pick up a knockout. And then Ferrothorn, because of how bulky it is, it's a lot more defensively built than Kartana, going to be able to take those water type attacks and Z moves in particular, and then throw out Power Whip in return, which will do big damage if not knockout. And then you've got other Pokemon like Toxicroak, and we've seen throughout the Sun series how good that utility of Toxicroak is, with that dry skin ability, immune to water type attacks, able to take those without any damage, actually recovering damage in the process, and able to sit there in front of it freely and do whatever it wants. So there's some nice options to start us off, and that is going to be the first example. And what better way to start us off as the Z crystals are now introduced into the series with a Z move. Now we're going to look at some other common archetypes of Kyogre here. The next one is going to be a Choice Scarf. I don't see this going away anytime soon in the Moon series. It's still going to be utilized, it's still very strong. One of the more common EV spreads that you're going to see on this sort of Kyogre is 140 HP, 4 defense, 164 special attack, 4 special defense, and 196 speed. So what this does is it allows you the speed stat with that modest nature. It allows you with the Choice Scarf to hit a speed of 202, outspeeding all base 130. So that's like Tapu Koko, Crobat, Aerodactyl, other Pokemon in that speed bracket, and anything under that. The 140 HP and that 4 special defense allows you to take a +2 Moonblast from a timid Xerneas. So if it gets Geomancied up, then you can guarantee, if you've still got full HP, that you'll be able to take that attack and then throw something out, which might be enough to just clinch that match for you. As you can see, attacking calculations here as an example against a Groudon. This 164 invested Kyogre with moderate ability, Water Spout in Sun still gets a 2-hit KO on Groudon, so Groudon's still not safe to switch in to adjust the weather. It'll take big damage on that turn switching in, and then the next turn you're still going to outspeed it, so you'll be able to pick up a knockout there and take Groudon out of the game. Now common partners you're going to see with this sort of Kyogre are going to be things like Serena. With that Queenly Majesty ability, Kyogre is not able to be faked out, so it's immune from that as long as Serena's on the field. Serena also has access to Helping Hand as well to boost those water type attacks, electric type or ice type attacks that it's going to utilize. Other partners that I think are going to be quite key going into the Moon series that have a bit more utility than they did in the Sun series, one of them being Hitmontop. Hitmontop has access to Intimidate. We all know how good an ability that is, and because Kyogre being weaker on the defensive side of the spectrum, it is going to really benefit a lot more from that Intimidate support, especially from the Hitmontop. And one of the things that Hitmontop doesn't have compared to, say, to something that was very popular like Incineroar is that fire typing, so it's not going to be affected as much or nerfed as much from the rain on the field. You're going to have access to maybe the Fightinium Z on Hitmontop, which is very, very strong and good support there for the Kyogre. You're going to have Wide Guard support, Feint support, Fake Out support, Helping Hand support, lots of really good utilities that Hitmontop offers. And then another partner is going to be Tapu Lele. Again, it acts a bit like what Serena does with that Psychic Terrain, immune to priority attacks and allowing Kyogre a little bit of freedom to utilize that speed advantage that it's got with its item. Common checks are going to be Ludicolo, we've covered that already. Zekrom, another one, and those dragons with Palkia and Zekrom going to be resistant to those water type attacks and be able to hit it for very good damage in return. So there is the Choice Scarf variant. Another variant that we're going to have a look at is going to be a more bulky built 50% Berry Kyogre. I see this still having good utility again in this format. We're going to have common partners that can set that Trick Room up though, like Palkia, like Bronzong, like Dialga. We've seen them all used in the Sun series. I don't see that changing too much in the Moon series. Another one that you could kind of tag in there potentially could be Cresselia because of that ally switch, the Z Trick Room that it's got access to as well. So another good partner in that skill swap once the Trick Room is set up. We've went for a Quiet Nature, Zero Speed IV, and the EVs for this particular Kyogre that I've opted for this example are 164 HP, 252 defense, 76 special attack, and 12 special defense. And one of the attacking calculations that you can get here, and it kind of marries up perfectly with its defensive calc, is the 76 plus special attack Origin Pulse in the rain versus a 4 HP standard Kartana is always going to be a guaranteed 1-hit kill, which is very nice. And that defensive calc there, as I say, marrying up very nicely with that attacking calc. The defensive investment that you've got on Kyogre allows you to take a Leaf Blade from a Jolly 252 Kartana pretty much 100% of the time. You've got a 6.3% chance to be knocked out by that variant, so you'll likely survive that. You can then throw off an Origin Pulse, knock it out, and your berry will be activated and you'll be back up to around 50% health, which is very nice, especially if you can set up a Trick Room that turn as well with that, say, partner like Palkia, like Bronzong or Dialga that we've mentioned here. Things to watch out for though, if you are going down a Trick Room route, is things like Ferrothorn that we've already mentioned, Amoonguss as well. If you haven't got any terrain control to prevent spores and things like that, it's going to be very difficult to maneuver around that particular Pokemon. And Gastrodon as well, you tend to carry things like Water Spout, Origin Pulse, Thunder. If you haven't got that coverage and Ice Beam, this Pokemon's going to really wall you, so you need to be very mindful of that one. Okay, so moving on to the final example in this guide series, we're going to look at the Choice Specs set. Now this is the Choice Specs, gives you a 1.5 boost to your special attack, which makes Kyogre even stronger than it is without it. I've opted for a Timid Nature here. I want to go max speed with Kyogre, and I think because you've got that big boost with the Choice Specs item, that you can kind of forego some of the attacking special attacking investment that you had in previous sets that we've seen. We've got that 140 HP number to just give you that better opportunity to take those +2 Moonblasts from Xerneas and things like that. 164 special attack, as you can see from the attacking calculation here. Water Spout versus Amoonguss in the rain does allow you to 2-hit KO it, so if it switches in on you and they've got no way to adjust that rain or weather or nullify it, then the next turn that Amoonguss is in range to be knocked out by that said Kyogre with the choice specs, just showing how strong that full power water spout can be. Defensive calcs as well. You can see I've already mentioned the +2 Xerneas Timid Moonblast, but you can also make sure that you are taking the Xerneas Twinkle Tackle as well, which you've got to remember that it is boosted by that Fairy Aura, so giving you a 6.3% chance to knock out the Kyogre there. Some common partners with this Kyogre. Again, you can use all of the previous partners that we've done in this guide, but some more just to consider and make you aware of are things like Talonflame that we've seen have success with Kyogre in the past. That Gale Wings ability giving you access again to speed control, really undeniable speed control for the most part. You've got things like Amoonguss, it has that redirection which is going to be very useful for this sort of Kyogre. Helps against Trick Room as well if you're going a bit speedier. And then another partner that I really like is Raichu. It has that Lightning Rod ability, going to be able to protect you from any big dangerous electric attacks from things like Tapu Koko, which are listed in the common checks. Venusaur and Groudon obviously for obvious reasons, because Groudon obviously changes the weather to sun, and Venusaur is a grass type, threatens Kyogre, and in the sun it is going to be faster than anything else on the field because of that chlorophyll ability and it being boosted by 50% under the sun. So there's some sample sets for you guys. Now we're going to have a look at counter options and just a quick summary for Kyogre. I don't want to keep these guides very long, I want to kind of keep them as short as possible, so we're going to just fly through these. Now the max speed for Kyogre, a good thing to keep in mind is going to be that 156 raw stat that it can hit. Its minimum speed that it can hit with a 0 speed IV and no investment is 85, so if you want to counter it under Trick Room, make sure that you are going under that figure. And then a common speed that you're going to see on Kyogre, and I would say probably one of the more common speeds that you will see on it if it hasn't got a scarf, is going to be 142, just max modest. And that these are raw speed stats as well, so they're good things for you to keep in mind for when you're in battle, because these are key areas. If you know your Pokemon can knock it out and outspeed it, then it gives you such an advantage going into that next turn, and it gives you a bit more confidence in your plays. Common items you're going to see on Kyogre going into the Moon series, you're going to see the Waterium Z, the Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, and the 50% Berry. I don't really see players tending to go outside of those options, but you can't discount any option on Kyogre, but they're probably going to be the most popular ones that you're going to see going into the Moon series. Common attacks are going to be, we've covered them all the way through. There's Water Spout, the Z move there coming off that more than any other water type attack that it's got access to, going to be the Hydro Vortex. Going to have Origin Pulse. I could have put Scald in there, that is another option, we've already covered that. It is a bit more reliable accuracy wise. You're going to have Thunder and Ice Beam, and obviously Protect is going to be on there, but that kind of goes without saying within a VGC format. Common partners I would say you're going to see with Kyogre are going to be Ludicolo, as we've mentioned how it benefits with that Swift Swim ability under the rain. The Tornadus, because of that Prankster ability, its flying type stab, helps protect Kyogre, helps set it up under Tailwind. And then another one that I'm going to throw in there is Incineroar as well. It has got that fire typing. It is helping Kyogre against those grass types as long as the rain isn't up. Does hinder it a little bit when the rain is up, especially if you want to utilize those fire type attacks, but in general it's a very strong Pokemon. Got access to Fake Out, can help there, but it'll be interesting to see as this format goes on to see if Incineroar actually stays relevant or if something like Hitmontop comes in and takes its place. Best checks in the format for Kyogre are always going to be things like Ludicolo, Kartana, Ferrothorn, Abomasnow, all your grass types really threatening it. Some electric types as well, obviously, in Zekrom and Tapu Koko. They're big main weaknesses, and big walls against Kyogre, things that you can put on your team to help you just switch in on Kyogre, are going to be things like Toxicroak with that dry skin ability, immune to those water type attacks. Palkia, because of its water and dragon typing, 4 times resist to those water type attacks and can hit back with things like Thunder, Spatial Rend. Very good Pokemon to counter Kyogre with. Gastrodon, again, like we said, if you haven't got that access to that Ice Beam on your own Kyogre and Gastrodon comes in, you've really got no way to hit it. It's going to be immune to the electric type attacks that you normally rely on because of its ground typing, and also because of its Storm Drain ability. It's going to just sap up all of those water type attacks and take special attack boosts at the same time. And the last one we're going to mention is always going to be Amoonguss, especially if Trick Room is a thing and it goes up. It can put you to sleep, it can hit you hard with Grass Knots. Because you're such a heavy Pokemon as well, it does threaten you quite heavily, and It is resistant to those water type attacks, so it's going to be able to sit for the most part in front of those and soak those up and disrupt to no end. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this guide series. This is the first one. I hope you really enjoyed it. As I mentioned earlier on in the guide, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to get your feedback on the guide, what you found useful about it, and what you might be trying out in the format, and what your thoughts are going into this Moon series as well. If you've got any questions about anything that I've covered in this guide, do leave them in the comment section below and I'll make sure to get back to you. I'll just say thank you for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you for the next guide very soon. So until then guys, take care of yourselves and bye bye.